Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined by Dustin and Bogey, here to talk Star Wars. A lot of things to talk about. So little time to talk because it's so late. But Skeleton Crew episodes 1 and 2 just were launched, just premiered this evening at 8 p.m. Central. We just got done watching it. Now we're looking forward to discussing it. As we usually do for our, new show episode reviews. Spoiler alert, we will be talking about episodes 1 and 2. So if you haven't watched it yet and you're tuning into us, put us on pause, go watch those episodes, and then come back and listen to us. And we'll start out with the business elements really quick. So hit that subscribe button, follow, like, download, rate, review, all the above. Any little thing you can do, we greatly appreciate. Helps get our podcast name out there amongst all the other Star Wars podcast and YouTube channels. So we greatly appreciate it. First off,
just to say, we have some really good positive momentum on that. So, if you follow us, you're just joining the in crowd, right?
Yeah. join the, what do you want to call it? Join the trend right now. Come subscribe to us.
Trendsetter.
Yeah. And, as I mentioned all the time, once we hit certain number of subscribers, we are going to be doing a little drawing so you can win some prizes.
Yeah, which is Mudge drawing pictures and giving them to you.
Yeah, drawing, not pulling names out of a hat, literally just drawing, and I'll give you the picture as your prize. No, we've got actual items that I'm gonna. If you're within that number of subscribers, your name will be entered into a hat, we'll say, and then I'll do a little drawing, and you'll win a prize, and we'll get your information, and we'll send it out to you. So, looking forward to finally getting rid of the first prize that we have. So hit the subscribe button. First of all, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great holiday, some time off, hopefully spent with family, friends, all the above. So you guys do have a great holiday.
For me, yes. For my liver, not so much. My liver needs a break.
You survived. Your liver survived.
Did survive. Drank a ton of wine. Yeah. Brought down a lot of Wisconsin beer for my family.
There you go.
Didn't really bring Spotted Cow. I brought Moon Man. I brought two, or I think Farm Girls or something like that.
Okay. You are about the Moon Man.
I do like Moon Man a lot. That's my favorite beer from them now.
From New Glarus.
They had a Bach out, so maybe we should try to get a collaboration with them. And then what was the other one? Oh, the Fat Squirrel, which is their brown ale.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All great choices. Everyone loved them, so that was nice.
Colleen loves the Dancing Girl. I think it's Dancing Girls. If you've tried that one, it's like a Hefeweizen type. So
I love a good Hefeweizen. Callie, that's actually Callie's favorite style of beer.
Yeah, so it's seasonal, so they don't have it released all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like Dancing Girl or something. So if you ever get it, if you ever see it, pick it up. It's really good. Colleen would recommend it.
Yeah, and then I've got my Eskimo Ice House out.
Branding. They owe us advertisement now.
We are definitely in ice fishing, the very, very beginning of ice fishing season. However, I have that up. I just want to explain to anybody saying this why that's up. Because my kid loves it. It's like, we can camp in the basement and he uses that little fort and it's like super easy to put up,
And super warm because then you're not freezing outside.
Well, yes, and then it's insulated. So
I say does it get even hotter because it's in the basement and insulated.
It's actually 130 degrees in there right now.
Yeah, actually, it's a sauna.
It's a sauna. Yeah. See, we could have used that at tailgating, Dustin. See, that's unfortunate.
Well, sorry that I moved to this country, but we are going to be in Minnesota, not this coming weekend, but next.
Oh, good, because that's the one weekend that I am available. So maybe
you guys we'll have to get together.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, also, I do want to say I got to spend my birthday with my twin brother, which is really, really cool. And we went to a Tom Petty cover band, which was awesome. The guy sounded just like Tom Petty.
Really?
Oh, and they put on just a wonderful show. They played a lot of the great songs.
Free Falling, got to play
Ones.
Free Falling.
They played Free Falling. Got a whole 3-minute video of it because that's one of Bennett's favorite songs that we'll jam out to in the radio, and he'll sing to it. It's great. They played just hit after hit, and we had an absolute blast. And because you were watching cover band, it was like way cheaper than, if you went to actually see.
Sure.
Obviously, you can't see Tom Petty anymore, unfortunately, but.
R.I.P. How about you, Bogey? How was your Thanksgiving?
That was good. Watch football. We did host my sister and her husband hosted because they got the new little one, so it's just easier for them, so they can put them down for naps and whatnot. And they started kind of a new tradition that we started last year when they had the little guy. They smoke a turkey and deep fry a
Ooh.
turkey.
Ooh.
So the deep fry is always that
What
was fun. It was fun last year, so it was fun again this year. We
which
just
one
hang
did you
out.
like better?
Last year I liked the smoked more, but this
Okay.
year I loved the deep fry. I think he was kind of new to the deep frying last year.
Okay.
I think this year he worked out or kind of learned from last year and we kind of perfected it. Like, it's always about
Figured
the
it out.
temperature, maintaining it,
Oh yeah.
having that patience. And I stood out there with him and his dad, and we were out there freezing our butts off out in the driveway as it's just sitting there slow cooking. It was funny because you don't know when the oil is all like. It's like, well, it's not bubbling, but maybe that's a good thing. And it's like, is the temperature gauge not working right? You don't know. But as soon as you slowly start dipping, you got to make sure it's a slow process. You can't just dump it in and all of a sudden
Yeah,
the
of course, you
fire.
got to do it in the garage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when everyone was catching their garages on fire from all that? So when that was happening, when I first joined Target, I trained under the patio and grill team, and they owned like that product. I can't tell you how many like complaints that we got because of it. And it's like, that's user error. Don't blame Target for that. That's all on you. You can't blame us for not following instructions and overfilling the oil just to start your garage on fire. So
Yeah.
that's your own
And
fault.
that's why like we do it safely. We just throw it at the end of the driveway. So
Yeah.
we had that while they had the Bears and Bears Lions game on in the garage, so we could see it long distance. And then there was a point where
How
like
bad? How much were you laughing at the end of that game?
I oh my gosh, like when we asked, because it was like right at the end of the game is when it was close that we were being done, and we had a timer going like, oh, we got about like 10 minutes. We didn't want to overcook it, of course. So we like ran up to the garage to get like see it closer to the TV, and we're watching. I was like, "Oh my gosh, the Bears might pull this off!" And then like the last 30 seconds was like, "What the f is this bullshit?" Like the coach, and of course, yeah, I was right away. I told like both my brother-in-law and his dad. I was like, "This coach is done. He's
Yeah,
totally
He
done."
definitely deserved to get fired, but that was not all his fault. What the hell was Caleb Williams doing?
Yeah,
uh,
well, yeah, because I definitely would put like 35 to 40% blame on Caleb Williams.
yeah,
Because it looks like he was trying to call a play, but like the players like kind of like were like, "Well, I don't know where do I go? I don't know where to." Well, that line is on the coaching, not being
Yeah, then you
prepared.
got to use the
well,
timeout. When
yeah. When you hit like 20 seconds, maybe if you're the coach, call a timeout at that point. And
Because like Caleb Williams is a rookie, and he's probably like
yeah,
in his head like so much is going on right now, and like the atmosphere and everything, and this President's Thanksgiving, like being a rookie on a Thanksgiving game and everything. Why does a coach not call timeout there? I
because it's Eberflus.
Yeah, fucking dumbass.
Yeah, I was like after that game, so I was with my dad and my brother. We go to our cabin every year for Thanksgiving, one room log cabin, no electricity, no running water, no indoor plumbing, but we cheat and bring a generator up so we can have TV for football. And we were watching that and we were like, yeah, he's not lasting to the next game. And he didn't even last the next 24 hours after that whole situation.
It was
But
funny. He was being interviewed like Monday morning, or what was it? Friday
yeah,
morning.
they let him do a fucking press conference. Like that's how dysfunctional the
hang him
Bears are.
out to the wolves.
Yeah, he was having a press conference on Friday morning. It's like, yeah, well, that's how it was planned, and I wouldn't do any different. My mind's on to the next game. That's our focus right now, and we just keep going
He's like, I'm
forward.
very confident. I'll be coaching against blah blah blah.
And then literally like less than a half hour later, the news broke. He's been fired.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for taking the bullet for us. By the way, you're fired.
Oh man, only the Bears at this point. You kind of feel bad for them at the same time. You kind of don't.
Yeah.
I
No, I
don't
don't feel
know.
bad at all.
The rest of our teams won for the weekend, so
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Vikings, good God.
hey, they
Squeaked
pulled it
out a
out.
win there.
I mean, no different from when the Packers beat the Bears. I mean, it doesn't matter how you win as long as you get that win under, you
They
got it
say good
done.
they say good teams find a way to win. And there
Yeah.
was like I was listening to the radio on the way home from my buddies watching the game, and there were some drunk guy called on. He's like, "Oh, okay, good teams find ways to win. Terrible teams find ways to lose." It's like, well, it's the same thing, I guess. Like,
True. True. But Arizona's not a bad team. So,
yeah, no, they're not. Their defense definitely got us all ramped. Like, we didn't know what we were doing in the first half. I remember I was just like ready to just go home and just be done. But then I kept watching it with my buddy, and
yep. I
I
mean,
have to keep us on task because I don't want us to lose
that's fair. That's
Star
fair.
Wars followers who are
That's fair. And our chat is live and running right now. So if you have any questions or comments, opinions, or just want to give your 2 cents about episodes 1 and 2 from Skeleton Crew, feel free to drop us a line. So yeah, let's just go overall original takes on this. Like, how do we feel about the show and what we've seen so far? Has it met expectations? Has it not met expectations? What? And I'll start with you, Dustin.
well, I think we should start with Bogey
The
because I mean,
newbie. This is his first time, so we're gonna
well, but
Eberflus
also
him
I
and just
mean,
put him out to the wolves and see.
there are two of us who absolutely love the show, and there's one asshole that was just texting all these rotten things in the group chat. And
I
Damn
love
that, Greg. Oh, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I'm the Karen of of the group here.
Right.
he even
So
sent a
okay.
gif of a dog dragging his ass on the carpet. Okay.
If you're watching on our YouTube channel, you saw, but if you're listening to us, he just showed the GIF that Dustin was referring to.
Yeah, because right away
Um,
I was like this what did you say, Dustin, that you're like
well, you said this show sucks or something
oh no,
like
it was
that.
like oh you said a lot of single parent or
Oh yeah.
you made a comment about like in the early part of the first episode. I was like this show sucks.
Yeah.
And then you're like nope, wrong. And I was like then I said the
I sent the
gif of a
Trump
dog dragging his
gif.
ass. But
Wrong.
for your viewers out there, I was just trolling them as we're all kind of like we should do it. And I agree, Dustin, that'd be fun if we somehow could do like a group watch or something.
Well, they
Uh,
used to have it.
Yeah.
yeah, I know much was saying that, but if we could find some other way, at least us three could
Are we talking
watch
about
it.
Disney or are we talking about porn here? What are we talking about?
Both.
Talk-
Yeah, well, hey,
Why stop at one?
they figure out so much for teams, then you could just do a team circle jerk.
I'll pass on that.
You're the one who seems excited.
Well, yeah, not about a circle jerk.
Hi, Bogey. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, original thoughts
so just
from you, Mr.
overall
Bogey.
thoughts of like episode 1 and 2, or just
Yeah, just
overall
combined. Like, how are you
combined it all?
feeling based off of what we've seen so far?
Uh, I guess I'll break it down into like like a couple categories. Like visually, great, stunning. The cinematography and everything seems smooth. That's something about Acolytes. I just thought there was something missing, or it just looked choppy, and I think that's what steered me away.
Mm,
But in this, it seems really like a good flow so far for through the first 2 episodes, and then just the camaraderie with the characters. I think that's meshing very well so far in the first 2 episodes. And you get this whole kind of vibe, Justin. You were kind of giving me like, because I said, "Oh, when's a good?" You have like a kid story adventure, and in the last like decade, and you said Stranger Things, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, for some reason, I kept that in my head, and I was watching. I was like, well, I can see that character being that kind of like imitating that character from Stranger Things. I think that like, the blue, what's his Neil.
Neil.
He kind of gives me that Dustin vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Um,
does. Because you're saying I look like an elephant?
Well, maybe where it counts. Mm.
I wish.
and then Vern, the kind of like the more mature teenager
Yeah,
gal.
the captain now.
Yeah, the
Fern.
captain. She gives the
Yep.
vibes of like what's his name in Stranger Things, but he was like the high schooler that everyone hated in the first season, but now everyone
Oh
loves him.
yeah,
But he's
Will's
got that mature.
brother.
Who
Will's brother.
the older brother.
is that?
Yeah.
Will's?
That's who I thought you were referring to when you were saying that.
No, not Will's brother. The one he worked at that like in the one season he worked at that,
Oh
Oh yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
and
wanted
then
like a
he became
bat.
like He became Dustin's like best friend.
Yeah.
gotcha.
God,
Yeah,
what's
because
his
he was a
name?
cocky asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a
Okay.
Yeah,
cocky asshole in the
yeah,
first like one or two seasons, and then like he's like now like a fan favorite as he's like Dustin's like best friend, and
yeah,
like I get that vibe from her of like this like, kind of maturity, but yet she's not prone for making mistakes or doing something or
yeah.
But so yeah, the character development's been good so far. We'll see where it goes. Um, so yeah, like I said, the visuals look great. Um, trying to think what else of like a high overview. So overall, I'll give it a solid like 8.5 popcorns out of 10.
Okay. Ooh, popcorns. What made you
God
think
damn it! Now you're making
popcorns?
me hungry.
Well, because we're watching it's
It's a
cinematography.
movie. Okay.
We're watching
All
we're
right.
cinema popcorn.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
always tell that to my friends like, oh, popcorn. That's funny
Ooh,
you say that.
popcorn. Now Dustin's hungry. So I'll pass it over to Dustin. What are your initial thoughts?
I tell you, man, I loved it. I loved it, and there's just so many like nostalgia moments. Just thinking back on like when we were kids and all that shit that we would do, right? Maybe it's different now. And I think all the older generations like to say, "Oh, the kids are different," but they kind of are different. I mean, but just going off in the woods, playing, pretending like you're gonna find something really cool. But in the Star Wars universe, turns out you can, you know. And I mean, I guess our version of that was finding Playboy mags,
Yeah.
in the woods or something. But I loved it. I thought, yeah, like you said, the camaraderie of the cast was really good. And again, when you know what you're getting, like when your expectations are similar to what the product puts out, and lo and behold, you come out with a good story with good sets, good cinematography, things like that. It doesn't have to be a traditional Star Wars story, right? This is what I was telling Mudge and him and I were texting. Like, I just I love the creative take on the storytelling, right? It's not creative in the sense that, this tale has been done many times, right? But it's never been done in the Star Wars universe. And it just feels fresh. I mean, I just really, really enjoyed it. There is one thing, like in the very beginning, right? Like, we all know that the captain who got mutinied is definitely Jude Law's character.
Jude Law.
It's like,
The
You
voice
tell
was
you
the
it's
same.
not a,
you could hear
it's
his
not a huge
accent through the
mystery,
helmet.
Yep.
right? Yeah. So they put a helmet on him. Now, for kids, again, for the audience, maybe they're not going to pick up on that, and
They might not be familiar with Jude Law, so they won't recognize his voice.
Yeah. Well, but it was. I mean, you couldn't really tell his voice anyway because it was
Right.
masked over. But
I still could tell. He's got
I
that
could
accent.
tell. I could
yeah,
tell.
I could tell right
I
away.
mean,
Well,
I could
like there
just
was moments
tell.
where like they masked it pretty well, and there's moments I'm like, this certain words he said really exaggerated his accent. And you're like, oh, that's definitely him under the helmet.
Yeah,
But
but
go
again,
ahead,
just
Dustin.
the moment where he slides down the hill and finds that thing. It's just like I just remember sometimes when I was a kid doing that kind of exploring and things like that. Really enjoyed it, and I mean, the acting was good for them being young actors and actresses.
A
So
lot better than some of the other kid actors they've gotten for.
I will tell you this is kind of funny. Uh, as I've gotten older and as I've had my own children, I kind of side with the dad a lot.
You feel bad for the dad who is watching them fly away.
I feel like I have to tell this to my son all the time. I have to be like, "Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand?" And he's starting to be like, "Yeah, Dad, I understand." And then he does the opposite of what I told him. Like, clearly, you didn't understand. And that's what the dad did. It's like
Yet you have an
you're gonna
Eskimo
study.
thing in your house probably for your kid, so he probably convinced you to do that, right?
Wait, what? That? Oh yeah, 100%. But let's be honest, I was pretty excited to do it myself. So,
Well, that's true because yeah, that's fair. You were part of being the kid in putting that up in your basement. So,
well, I still have that, that childhood that
oh,
I'm still a
look
child.
behind me.
Yeah.
Childhood is still with me.
We're all child at heart, baby, like dinosaur from Step Brothers.
Yeah.
You gotta get your dinosaur out.
Well, and I mean, I echo everything both of you have said about this show, and I think two things really stood out to me. One, relatable this is, and two, that it's in a Star Wars universe. It's just we haven't seen this element before, and never would I have thought that we would get this kind of production in a Star Wars. That wasn't something I ever thought I needed, but I mean, and this is what got me excited from the trailer because you're watching the trailers and you're seeing like the suburban neighborhood in a Star Wars universe, and it's like, whoa, this is completely different. But yet they put a spin on it that makes it extremely relatable. Like Dustin was saying, the nostalgia and everything. It just emerged. It puts you in those situations, and it feels so real. I mean, I'm watching this show, and like Wim, is that his name? The main
Yeah.
boy. Yes, Wim.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like,
yep.
this kid could be me. I mean, he's walking through the streets like with his friend Neil, like doing fake like lightsaber duels. I'm like, who didn't have those large like wrapping paper rolls with their friends and doing lightsaber fights with them? Like, I'm like, this kid is me when I was younger. So definitely the nostalgia factor was hitting me. Just a shout out to Star Wars Gazer. He says hello there. Hello, right back at you. Have you seen the show? The first two episodes? If you have, what are your thoughts? Let us know. Um, so going back to what you were saying too, Dustin, when you know when you understand the expectations of this show, and it really nailed it for me, at least in these first two episodes. I don't know if I know they were really advertising Goonies, kind of, but not really. I mean, I was feeling more like Pirates of the Caribbean, just younger kids, in what I was seeing so far. And I mean, obviously, Goonies is a great show, and I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So it doesn't have to be Goonies; it can be something completely different. But either way, it's fantastic so
It's
far.
neither. It's its own thing now.
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's
I
neither.
think it pays homage to a lot of things. I feel like it doesn't slap you over the head with a lot of, you know, too much copying of like, there's so many movies that just they're almost carbon copies. Like the new one that's coming out, How to Train Your Dragon, and
Oh yeah, yeah. The live
the
action.
trailer is like shot for shot. Now, I think they've said it's maybe not going to be that, but that's going to slap you over the head with, oh yeah, this is the movie that you've seen just in live action, and I think that's a tougher thing to pull off.
And
Yeah,
it's one of those things like especially it's kind of hard to like copycat something that we all like. You watch like a movie. I think one of the vibes I was getting was Stand by Me,
mm.
That's yes,
That's
and
more of a comparison to this than
I
Goonies, in
think
my
so. Yeah,
opinion.
because they go on that adventure trying to find the dead body.
Yep.
and this was like all in like one in the first episode. Oh, let's go on an adventure. Like then the second half of the episode to find where they thought this was a Jedi temple. I'm like, that's not a temple. That's a ship, right away. Well, the trailer kind of spoils
Yeah,
it a
we
little
knew
bit.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but it kind of gives that vibe. But it's like one of the things, like you said, like we all talk about these stories that we had as kids growing up. We all get on our bikes and we stroll off, and our
Yeah.
parents are like, "Well, when you see the street lights turn on, that means you're late. Get back home," or type thing. Like, and of course the street lights are on. You're like, "Oh, mom's gonna be pissed." Like, but yeah, no, they like go on an adventure like that, and next thing you know, you're like, "Oh, you can only go so far," and you always try to exceed those limits. You're like. And you tell them like, well, I made it this far you last like the other night. Like, you went that far? I'm like, yeah. And like, you weren't supposed to do that, but okay, a little more trust now. You made it back home, so
Yep.
like I guess what how do you like? You can't say like, oh, you're copycatting Stand by Me or other,
Right.
Stranger Things or like other shows, Goonies, like, but they're just saying that's just a typical story of a kid of venturing out and getting out of the house and doing things. And like you said, Dustin, well, maybe that's not a thing nowadays because so many parents or so many kids nowadays get glued to the screen on their
Hmm.
tablets or their games or
Can I talk
whatever.
about something just real sidetrack here?
Yeah.
Because you just brought it up. My nephew, Grayson, who is like five-ish, And then so our other nephew was just glued to his tablet the whole time we were down there. And like you try to like not take it away from him, just like try to get him involved in playing and just being around family. And then he gets kind of mad. But they're watching these YouTubers do the dumbest shit. They're not even like at my son's age, he's 3.5. He's watching shows like Blippi and things like that. And those can be annoying for sure. But at least it's like a show that's trying to teach you something. Dude, some of these YouTube things are so fucking awful. And not just they're bad, but they're targeted for kids in that age group. And they're actually teaching the kids bad things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard that.
Look, when I was a kid, we played GTA and all that shit. Like, I'm not saying, but see, like, here's the thing. This is the difference. In GTA, you're not going to be like a carjacker, right? That's never like an aspiration that you have. But these kids now want to be YouTubers, and these YouTubers are doing stupid shit. They're doing pranks that just they're not. I mean, they're not super harmful, but they're dumb and they can cause harm, and they're not funny at all to any person that's normal, right? And anyway, so and then it's just these constant like little dopamine hits that these YouTubers are. I mean, they know
the want to be famous is a big thing, and I feel like kids want to be famous these days. Like when we were kids, I didn't care about being famous. I just wanted to do kid things. But I feel like just I don't know. Maybe it's the standard society is set with like celebrities and everything that we see nowadays that like
but it's completely
they just want to be famous.
Completely milked down fame.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay. And I don't want to go off on this tangent too much, right? Because I know we're talking about Skeleton Crew and Skeleton Crew is amazing, but
just always getting off topic. No,
it made me think of it. And, just to me, fame is completely watered down. And and we used to be famous for having like a skill that no one else had, right? Or you were just a master of your craft and like acting or something. Now you're just famous because you figured out an algorithm, right?
For sure. Stargazer also responds in my question. I asked him about if he's seen the show so far. He said, yes, I have. I like it, man. It's fresh and fun. I love Neil, them playing lightsabers. Neil so far seems to be the Samwise of the group. Haha. It was fun.
A chubby kid that they make a lovable kid,
It's not just the kid. I mean,
they get away with it now because he's an elephant little character,
And he says it was fun and fresh, and I love the underworld stuff in episode 2. Absolutely. So I agree with everything you said there.
Hey, you know what I find interesting?
Tell us.
Like all these different aliens are in school together. How do they have
it just made me think of something.
Physiologies, right? Like, like they're getting bone time. It's like they're getting attracted. The one guy. Neil,
Neil was sitting there like when the one gal like I wrote it down. What was her name? I was like I know those times back in the day. Her name was Runa, and she like made her answer what she wanted to be as a professional. And Neil's like, oh,
is that who he responded to when they were outside the ship trying to like they didn't know it was a ship at the time, but the girl was mimicking the voice of like the droids, and she was like, say who your crush is. Is that who Neil ended up saying?
Dude, we did that as kids too, man. That's why that's why the show's so relatable. But all I'm saying is all these different alien species, right? Like how do they have the same or similar physiologies where they hit puberty together or even like are attracted? I know they have to do that, but I just find that kind of interesting, right?
It's like the goldfish syndrome where they grow into the size of bowl they're in, so their environment is what sets everything. So maybe it's that. You mentioned that, and it made me think of in the second episode when they're like in the like pirate port or whatnot, and we remember seeing, like you said, there's all these different species on their home planet, and they're there, and they're like, "Do you see all the aliens?" So it's like they all recognize different species as aliens, even though they are amongst what we would consider aliens, but I mean, they probably on their home planet of Atten, if that's actually the name of the planet, they're all one and the same, even though they're different species to our eyes. So I thought that was pretty funny and pretty clever.
I love how they made the planet into a MacGuffin, right?
Yeah.
Where it's this mystery that's caused the story to move forward, but now it's given us interest. Like, what the hell? Now,
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, and I want to ask Bogey this because he took notes, but didn't I remember something? The one gal who came in, like the admin lady,
Yeah.
in the first episode, she said something about they joined the new Republic. Is that what they said?
Yep.
Yep.
Then didn't they say when they were paying for those little jizz noodles? Uh didn't they say that they
Cheers
were Old
noodles.
Republic credits? Oh, yeah, they were Old Republic credits. Isn't that what they said?
Yeah,
Or
where
Right.
did you
get
get
Old Republic
where
credits,
did
I
you
think
get
what the
Old
guy said.
Republic pristine credits, or like it
Credits.
was like mint condition credits?
But
Yeah.
I think he said Old Republic credits.
Yeah. I think Bogey
Yep.
was agreeing to that.
Yep.
But they think they've joined the New Republic, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But they have Old Republic credits that they gave the
Yeah.
so I think
Something
there's something there, right?
something's fishy
Yep.
about this planet because
Yeah.
they're
Nobody.
obviously trying to hide themselves from the rest of the world because they have some fake name as At-Atten, which is some mythical. I don't know.
Because
They were.
they said it multiple times. The kids did. They're like they would like people would laugh and like that place doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
then there's like it does. And this is one key thing that I caught when the ship was flying out. I don't know if you caught that. It was in such like duress and you couldn't see anything. And I guess I didn't pay attention to the beginning of the episode or how much can they not see the sky at all? Is
Yeah.
there I'm thinking their planet is like clouded and cloaked in a way where no one can see it. Because all
Yep.
of a sudden they go out and they're like, "What is that?" And they're like, "I think they're planets." And they're like, "I didn't know there were so many." It's like they've been blinded. I think they're shielded somehow, and that's
It,
why. And then finding a spaceship, didn't one of the droids or something like that's forbidden. Like you can't leave the planet. And this gives me like the total vibe of the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village,
oh yeah.
where like you can't leave the village at all, and they have this like fake little society and everything. And then, of course, when they leave the village, you find out they are in modern society and there's cars driving by,
Yeah.
but they think they're like in 1820 or something like
Yeah.
that.
They
Like,
climb that wall and it's like a road right on the other side, and it's like a cop
yeah.
car that finds them.
So that's the vibe I'm getting right now.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely intentional because they showed that scene where there were all those like I don't know if they were droids, but they were like red lights in the sky that was after all the clouds. And I think that's kind of like setting the atmosphere. So it's like controlling the atmosphere that they're seeing on the planet. So I think it's intended
And
that
I
it's
think it's,
supposed
ma
to be
it's and
cloudy.
it's got to be like masking any sort of like no one. It looks like it's just a dust cloud maybe to anyone flying by or from long distance that try to read like, oh, that's just a dust cloud on a planet when it really
Yeah.
is. So I'm really interested to find out where that is. But go ahead. Sorry, Dustin, got your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. I just want to go back though. You guys not understand the point I'm trying to make that they think they're in the New Republic, but they gave the bartenders were shocked that you have Old Republic credits.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was getting at.
I
That's
think
why I
there's like
think
a weird time shift that they don't even know about, like the inhabitants on the planet. It's been
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they're like trapped back into a certain time period
oh.
they're not aware of. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's okay. Yes, thank you. It's not that. So the planet could be a double MacGuffin, right? Like where
Yeah.
obviously it's shrouded in it's a double entendre. It's shrouded in mystery, and I mean I'll have to go back and watch, but I just want to be very clear that in the very beginning of the episode, the lady's like, "Oh yeah, we've joined the New Republic," blah blah blah. But Old Republic credits, and that they were shocked, right? Like if they're just part of the Republic, oh yeah, here's some credits, no big deal, right?
Well,
But like if someone gave us like gold bullion from a sunken ship in the 1400s, we'd be like, holy shit, where'd you get that? You see what I'm
yep.
trying to say? So there's
Yeah.
something weird about that. I think that they might flesh out. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and we know for sure that this is taking place during the New Republic era because we also, if you
We got
didn't
the
catch
scroll
it,
and-
well, that, but also the pirates, one of the pirates, the one that was confronting them at the end, not the Bothan one with that dog looking one, but the other one, he's from the Mandalorian. I think it was on the Mandalorian where they come across the pirates He's that like second
Yeah.
captain.
Yes.
So he's part of, content that we have in the New Republic era. So yeah, and to your point, the scroll portion of it. So we know we're in the New Republic era, but maybe they are thinking they might be transplanted or just thinking they're in the Old Republic or some time following, not quite into the New Republic.
Hey, did you say the one dog thing was a Bothan?
That's what I was wondering.
That'd be kind of
Like the
cool.
werewolf guy,
Yeah, the
whatever.
werewolf creature is because I think Bothans are like dog-like creatures, if I recall.
Many Bothans died. Well, hey, I wouldn't feel so bad if those kind of fucking Bothans died. They're kind of ugly.
It's also a species that was in the cantina of A New Hope. There was a dog kind of in the background, and I think that was a Bothan as well. Which, speaking of, so just diving into the first episode a little bit, how that it definitely gave me A New Hope vibes when the Imperial starship was taking over the Carillion cruiser, and you have all the like troops ready and pointing, and it was definitely giving me A New Hope vibes there. Why are you shaking your head there, Bogey?
That's my one nitpick of that entire scene, is I'm calling bullshit because I'm realistic about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just like I can't stand that scene where Princess Leia gets sucked out in the vacuum of space, but yet is still alive and not frozen dead and uses the Force to float back like a fairy. Like
Mary Poppins.
Yeah, you're using these grappling hooks that docks you into the ship, but you've now pierced the ship. The air pressure you can't tell me that just seals it shut. No, that
Sure.
it would be the whole ship would have been vacuumed out, just like if you're on an airplane. When I saw that, I was like, okay, no, that's. Can you find a better way to show but I would say that was a cool scene when they were trying to take out the turrets, where they had like the dudes
Oh yeah.
like that was cool,
And
and
that
was
one
realistic.
dude just got exploded. If you saw,
Yes.
there was like 3 swinging, and that one guy just got boom.
Boom. Just
So, by the way, pretty dark,
Yeah, I was gonna say that
for
too.
sure,
For
for sure.
if it's a kid show, like that opening scene, I'm like, I was not expecting that in
I
this
was
show.
not either.
So that was a pleasant surprise in my
Along
opinion.
with all like the scripture they're saying in the beginning, like it was very like dark words. They were saying like, "Oh, this
Oh
is
yeah.
the new Republic," but during this time they have pirates, and then like they have like don't they said something like they have this sacred like hull plating that spells out like that we're pirates or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a whole like tribe of clearly where they go in the second episode is probably like their whole like little home turf, but yeah, I did not like the being a realist in a way. I was kind of like, nah, no, that doesn't work well when you're just gonna puncture the hole like that and get into the ship. Like that's why you have like a lot of space movies, like they have docking claps, and then like if the air pressure isn't sealed,
Yep.
if you see Interstellar, like you know what I'm talking about, and if you don't
Yep.
have it right, the air pressure just blows everything apart. So I was like, no, that ship would have blown up if you did it that way. So, but it's a kids show, so I'll let it fly for now.
Well, and I thought
I don't
that
think
too,
Star Wars has ever been like science or science.
like
Accurate.
fire in space,
Yeah.
fire or sound in space. Yeah, that doesn't happen. But I was actually thinking that in the second episode, you remember when so they just arrived at the port or whatever, and then there was that little shuttle ship that came up and they got on there. Unless there was like another door that sealed before it detached, to me it looked like it like detached as it was floating away, and I'm like, wait a minute, that would just suck them right out.
Yeah, I know.
I
Did
thought
you see
that
the
too,
same thing,
but
Dustin?
I was just gonna say, I just want to give Star Wars as a whole mad props for just always fucking nailing the droids.
yes,
They're
yes,
so good
yes,
at
yes.
Smee, okay, which is the robot's name.
SM-33.
I'm a huge Hook fan, Smee. I
Yeah.
mean, what a dude. That's brilliant. I love that they
Yep.
named him SM-33. So you got Smee, and he's a freaking badass.
And question for you guys, because right away when I heard it, I'm like, I know that voice, and I just had to look it up because I just was bugging me. Do you guys know who that is?
Nick Frost.
Yes. Well, did you know that, Bud? Did you look ahead of time?
Well, I had it from a previous because I looked it up after the trailer, but so I knew from the trailer who
Okay.
it was. But why? What? Go on.
Well, no, I was just saying because I was like bothering me. I'm like, who's that voice in Nick Frost? And then I was like, okay, Nick Frost. And I was like, oh yeah, from what was it like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and all those kind of movies he does with
Yep.
Simon Pegg,
Yep.
which is like I was like, oh, that's so
Wait,
awesome.
he's the bigger guy.
Uh,
Is Nick Frost the
Yeah,
bigger of
yeah,
yes,
yep,
yes,
yep.
yep.
Which he's lost actually. If you look at a recent picture, he's lost a ton of weight.
Yeah. Well, he was in Badlands and he was great in that
Mm.
show.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'll have to look forward to that when I get to it. And then is he? So is Smee? Is he or SM33? Whatever.
Let's
Is
just
he
call him
like an
Smee, for the love of
altered K?
God.
Is he like an altered KX series droid? That's what it kind of looks like K2SO, but he just looks
Maybe if it
like altered and like repaired in different parts and
or maybe like a later version. I mean, there are
oh,
definitely strong resemblances, but it's still fairly different. But yeah, maybe it's a later version of it.
'cause to me it looks like it's original, but like he's had so much like different altercations and
Modifications and stuff.
modifications and different
Possibly.
things.
I mean, and it's a pirate. I mean, so what do we think
Pirated
of
parts to
pirates? They're
make them.
usually just like, bringing old things that are broken down and fixing them. And so it definitely could. There's definitely
Because
possibility
yeah, in
there.
the first episode, maybe I was kind of like not remembering fully the trailer that this droid was going to be in it. When I saw him like deactivated at the time holding the handle, I was like,
Yep.
oh, now we're in. We're that was all on board after that. I was like, oh, this better be a fun droid.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, droids, they do them great. I mean, one of the best characters so far, in my opinion. But I really like Neil.
I'm
The
telling you,
humor,
Neil, that was
the
he
humor he
stole the
brings. I
show.
mean, all of them are great, but
Yeah.
Neil keeps saying these damn things that are like just making me laugh. And there was one part, I think I texted Dustin that I was laughing out loud, where they're climbing down to get into the door that they see. They don't know what it is yet, but he's like, don't get rope burn. It's like just this little like line that he has that of
He's got that like
course he would.
naivety
Yeah,
to
exactly.
him. But
He's like,
I saying that they climb down is generous because as soon he's like
one, two, ah!
just pull them both down. That was pretty funny.
Well, you think that was deliberate? Because he just like leaped off the cliff instead of like just kind of propelling down.
Right. It might have been deliberate. Maybe I don't know. It was hilarious in my eyes.
No, I had
Um,
a good laugh at that.
Trying to think about some of the other things he was saying. It was pretty cool though when you first meet him. They are doing the lightsaber duels, and he said something along the lines of like, "You shouldn't have come here." Really playing into like a Sith kind of thought, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, where do we want to go next? Do we want to?
Who's I got a question. So I was kind of
Yeah,
curious.
go
So
for it.
and then you saw it in the second episode at the pirate camp or whatever that they ended up going to. Um, is this kind of like relating to like the people from Book of Boba Fett where they're like they got machine parts but they're not
Oh, what do they
AB.
call them?
what was that,
What do they
Justin?
call those people?
But you know what I'm talking about anyways.
Yeah, where they get the surgeries done. That's
They
like
call them like
Yeah,
modders or something.
yeah,
yeah, I think you're right.
So KB was
mods.
Okay. Is that what like the visor girl she's called KB? Is
KB. Yep.
is that what she's got? She's got the thing that reminds me of like from
Lobo.
Empire Strikes Back, where Lando had that like his right hand man had like the. Is that what like? But then she's got the visor, and I thought she like was she like a somewhat of a half droid, half human? But then like it would pop up, and she plugged into the system to
Hmm.
open the doors. And I was like kind of curious about that. But then you see another like mod guy that was at the pirate camp or whatever that all of a sudden he turned over and identified who they were or the
You
droid
know who
was.
that is?
I was just gonna say, did you catch who that is?
No, I know.
It's Urkel. The
Eh.
actor played Steve Urkel.
Yep.
No kidding, really?
Yep. That's
Yeah,
Steve Urkel.
that's who it is.
Well, I have to go. I'm gonna have to. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go back. No, I did not notice that.
Yeah. Um, I was feeling more vibes of like Lobo or Lobot, whatever, however you pronounce it, from Empire Strikes Back. But it's really cool that they showed, like you mentioned, she plugged in, because it makes me feel like it's like a human's way to be like kind of like a droid, have similar access type things or similar capabilities. But yeah, I think it was, I don't know if she was a mod or it's more just something similar to what Lobot had.
But I feel like she's going to be a lifesaver throughout the series because she seems like she has a lot of wit, a lot of knowledge, and she just
Yeah.
people are kind of like, "Oh, where are we at?" And she's kind of like, I don't
Reminds
know.
me of Tech from Bad
Yeah.
Batch.
Yeah,
If have you watched that
I
show,
know,
Bogey?
I know, I know the character.
Vern
Okay.
reminds me of Hunter.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
okay.
I think
Um,
Oh,
Neil reminds me of Wrecker,
yeah.
and I know what Wim reminds me of. He's the one always getting him into trouble. He's kind of like Wim reminds me of Omega.
Okay. So little Bad Batch vibes coming through here.
Just yeah, like that's an interesting point you just brought up that they do have similar dynamics in that sense. So
Well, I feel like that's kind of a trend too. Like when you have a show that's four characters, you obviously want to have like different personalities, so you kind of fit them to different molds. So this is like their way of doing it with kids. And I mean, if we consider everything that Disney has given us since they took over, I feel like this is really showing Disney's strengths because when you think of Disney, you think of kids, you think of younger programs for all, all audiences, family members, and this is really hitting the mark here. So it makes me a little nervous because like I want more adult things to come from Disney, and they can do it. But kudos to them for really hitting the mark with their niche. Like this is great so far, and I can't wait to watch the rest of the show as it comes out.
and they
I have a
finally
question.
listened to the viewers. I was worried about, that was I thought really cool with the environment that they're in on that planet with their little like speed bikes.
Mm-hmm.
For a second there, I was like, well, they finally listened to the fans. They didn't want those stupid ass bikes from Book of
Best
Boba Fett
Buzz.
that were going like 5 miles per hour, like
Yeah,
oh, hot speed chase. I was like, thank God they fixed
I
that. I
was
thought that
thinking the same thing. So
thank
I
God they
echo what you
fixed
said.
thank God they fixed that.
Actually, being badasses with speeders, like,
But
oh
that's
my
just
god.
but that's like I love that dynamic of kids on their bikes, and that's like
Yep.
if you remember if we were kids, at least when I was living like more in like the metro area, doing dumb shit where I probably should have been ran over multiple times. I don't know, like you're just crossing through roads and just doing whatever, and um, so but yeah, no, I love that kind of dynamic of like bringing that kind of like that kid vibe that we
Yeah.
had as when we were kids, and then like one other bit was like it's like you go for that journey. You find this like ship and open the door. What do you do? Of course, as kids, you're like, well, we're going inside. Like,
Yeah.
even though it
Of course.
looks like a death trap. Well, we got to go inside. And then I love how
Obviously.
like they play around, and then all of a sudden the door shuts. So like, okay, we got to get the power back on, so we at least don't suffocate to death. And what's it? Yeah, Wim just like I don't know. They said something to him, and he like pouts and runs off. And I think when they finally got the ship to leak, like it took off on its own. And he must have found like the captain's quarters, and there's all these skeletons everywhere. And then he's like playing around or whatever. But that's I think when uh, Neil goes to find the gals trying to do whatever to figure out something, and he's like on the or no, that's not what it was. No, it was they were still on the planet, and they were
Okay.
trying to turn on the power, but he was in the captain's or
Yeah, the quarters.
the
The
bridge. He was in
cockpit.
the
Yep.
bridge. And they did the power on, and he's like, "Oh, you guys wouldn't believe what I have up here." He's like, "Don't touch anything," and that is such like a thing to tell a child. Don't touch anything. And there's like this little green button, like, and then he goes and touches it, and that's when the ship takes off. I was like,
He wants an
that
adventure,
is such
right?
a kid thing to do.
Yep.
Like, don't touch it. Like you said, Dustin, you said, "Don't do this." You hear me? Don't do this, and then they do it anyways.
Well, but again, I mean, he wants that adventure, and I think one thing they did really well, just overall, is just setting up that wanderlust feeling for the characters.
Yep.
Mainly Win,
Yep.
because the other ones are just like, "Oh, I want to go home," and he's like, "Are you kidding me? This is awesome. We're
Yep.
exploring,
Love
explore."
it.
But they did a good job setting it up because okay, you're basically in this caste system, right? You take the stupid assessment, and God, did that remind me of those Iowa State tests that you had to take. to fill out those fucking bubbles. You know what I'm talking about?
See,
You guys have
see,
them?
see, see, see,
Yeah, yeah.
see.
See, see. But
Just a
you
shout out.
basically. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead. I was just gonna do a shout out to Troy, who just said a lot of the Disney stuff sucks. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I mean, much of the Disney stuff is hard to watch, but I do like it. So, but this, they're doing it right here. Continue, Dustin. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying that they're doing a good job. You have the caste system almost on the planet, right? Where well, everyone wants to be a friggin' analyst, which oh God, I don't want to live in that society. Nerds.
Yeah, that was funny. The one guy's like, "No fair. I want to be an analyst."
Yeah.
Like nerd.
Says no one ever.
I'm the guy in the back of the class. Nerd.
You were talking about how Wim is like seeking this adventure. As I was watching this show, it made me think. So they're obviously playing really hard into like the Jedi Sith, more specifically the Jedi thing. Like he's aspiring to be a Jedi. He wants to help people. He thinks he's found a Jedi temple. Like there's a lot of attention being put onto Jedi. And I think it's going to be like a smoke and mirrors type of a situation. But then I think there's going to be like a twist at the end where there probably is something related to Jedi or Sith in it. But I mean, I don't think Jude Law is actually a Jedi. I think there's.
That.
Oh, you were gonna ask that?
Yeah, you mowed my lawn, you son of a bitch.
I'm a middle class American. We care about our lawns. No,
you hedged
what if he's actually a Sith?
Maybe
that would be cool,
or something else.
Yeah,
but like obviously, Wim's mind is like anything he sees is something Jedi related. It's a Jedi temple, not a ship. It's the person that they come across, Jude Law, is a Jedi, not a Sith. So to me, it's leading you down one direction and then it's going to go something completely different.
I do find it funny that they teach the kids about Jedis, or somehow they learn. They didn't teach them about stars and planets.
They taught them that it existed, but they haven't seen any, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to know or understand Arubesh, so that's the writing format for Star Wars for English, because I just want to go back and like reread like the data pad, all the things that I was saying, and understand like what he's actually looking up. I mean, it has to be just kind of history of Jedi, but I don't know. It kind of fascinated me a little bit.
I wonder where they get that information, because if like you're saying, Dustin, and they got Old Republic credits, like how long have they been here? And this is another bit, like I totally get your theory, Dustin, but also like where I was going with my theory is that they're kind of like, again, like the Village movie is kind of what kind of drives it, because there's this weird kind of vibe I was getting when they're like in the classrooms. That one, the mother for Fern, whatever her title is, comes into the classroom and like tells everyone, is everyone ready for the big test to figure out who you're going to be in our society? To me, that just seems very like you're going to be stuck doing this, and you're kind of like almost like, I don't know, they just replacing as the elders get old, and we're just that way we're always stuck here. But like she also has like, looks like she knows more, so whatever power that she's at, are they like the superiors that like landed on this planet, and like we're just gonna hide here?
Well, and it's interesting all the roles that the droids are playing.
Yes,
in
the
this
droids have
on the
been
home planet.
very suspicious.
Overtly like intentional.
Yeah.
Like the droids are teaching the classroom, so they're driving the bus, which that seems more reasonable, a droid driving a bus, but a droid like leading a classroom, it makes it seem like there's specific guidelines that they want to teach these kids, and they want to make sure that they're being followed. So what do? Put a droid. But at the same time, apparently these droids, you can just tell them mind wipe or whatever, because when that girl Fern gets home, she's like, mind wipe, you actually saw me upstairs studying. Like, who knew you could do that for
but knowing
droid?
Fern and seeing her like with her bikes and all, like she needs like a power capacitor.
Did something.
I bet
moderation or modification to it.
She could have made her own modification to her own house droid to like,
that's fair.
Abide to her. But and that was the other thing too, because it looked like she was clearly struggling with school, and her mom's like, "I got you," and put the badge like you're in the top honors. And it's like just seeing her behavior, I'm like, "There's no way she's in the top honors. Looks like she's the one that skips school and rides her bike around." And she's
She's
like,
using AI to write her essays for her. That's what she's
"Yeah,
doing.
that's why I'm thinking there's something in the higher powers of her mom and whoever of the
Yeah,
elders are trying to like masquerade this planet to like." We're just gonna stay here in our own little bubble and hide from everything else. And granted, maybe they have their own like secret little spaceships that go out and they know the news out there, but then they come back and
sure.
they're like, it's still no good. Yeah, there's a new republic, but that doesn't mean anything. And maybe the Empire is still lurking of whatever's left of it. Clearly, as we see down the road, you have, whatever they call it, the New Order that shows up. So it's like,
Yeah.
so maybe there's like we're just fine, just being kind of self isolated in our own little environment. I mean, that's my theory, but I totally get your theory, Dustin, which that could easily be the case. That's just definitely the old Republic credits was something that I was like, that's weird.
See, that's why I love this, having us talk about this, because I feel like it's a mesh of both in one way or another. Um, because like it is very interesting too, kind of to Dustin's point. From what we understand, like at this point in time, Jedi and Sith are myth. Like they don't people your ordinary person doesn't have something to really research Jedi or Sith in this. And this kid obviously has a data pad where he can like look at stuff that is probably originating, maybe looking at the images that we were shown could be Old Republic, because Sith haven't even been around for a long ass time. And there's clearly a picture of a Sith dueling a Jedi. So this is common information that they have. But then also to Bogey's point, like there's something going on from the higher ups in terms of like they don't want people to know what's going in the outside world or outside of their own world. So I think both of you are actually onto something. I think it's a meshing of both of those in a certain way.
And your
I
your
just want to
point
go
too,
back
those
to the droid. The droid's doing everything. I
yes,
couldn't help,
yeah.
but when the bus droid was going on, thinking of Mrs. I think it's Crabapple from South Park. Shit. You
It
know?
was hilarious when the kid comes up and slaps gum on the back of the
Yeah,
droid. Like,
yeah.
And I had
its
like
head
20 of
rotates
them.
180. Who did that? Who did that?
Who did that? Who did that? Who did that?
You know, if this, if it had more of a South Park flair, they could have been. He turn around. Who the fuck did that shit? I'll kick your ass. Because that's what
So
bus drivers are really like. Let's be honest. Or
all
at
right,
least
so
back in our day.
so if there's 4 characters here and there's 4 South Park characters, who is which South Park character?
Okay, well, so obviously Neil is Cartman.
Just a nice version of Cartman.
Yeah, well, of course, but just I would say the stats.
So the Lobo girl or Lobot girl is Kenny.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
expendable.
So then Kyle is Fern and Stan is Wim. That would be my.
I'd go the other way around.
Listening, who?
I'd go the other way around because Kyle is the Jew, right? In it.
No. Stan is the Jew.
Oh, if Stan's the Jew, then you're right. Okay.
Right? I could be wrong.
I thought Kyle was the Jew because Cartman was always going after Kyle.
Okay, yeah. So then it would be opposite because I'm thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Well, so that's a good point. Because Kyle, or the Jew character, he's the one always getting blamed for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Blamed for everything.
Damn it, Kyle.
Damn it, Kyle.
See how those things work? If there's 4 characters, you can always.
But Wim and Neil are really good friends with each other.
Yeah.
So that's the rub in the argument. But
Right.
for anybody watching or listening, I think that's an interesting thought exercise.
So does that mean Wim's dad could be Stan's dad? What's his name? He's like my favorite.
Randy.
Randy. That's integrity.
You need some more integrity.
Needs more integrity.
Dude, I watched a couple of like the movies because they were on Paramount and I was bored. Dude, they're so good. Honestly, they were actually making fun of the YouTubers. Because now the YouTubers will peddle like their little sugar-free drinks, except they're just absolutely full of chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah, so
never misses.
Um, so I can't wait to go back and rewatch these episodes because there's certain things I kind of want to pay a little more attention to after watching the first time. But some things I did catch on. I know.
Oh, did we lose his audio?
Yeah, I think we lost your audio, Mike. Uh-oh.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
you're
weird.
back.
Fortunately,
I'm back. All right. Unfortunately.
The hyperdrive is going critical.
That's weird. I didn't even do anything. I just went out and I just had to mute it and then unmute it and it worked. So technical difficulties. But Dustin, you've made the comment in the past that watching with me, like I have a tendency to find like these Easter egg type things.
yes, you little nerd.
I am excited to go back and rewatch these because I definitely want to dive more into them. There's questions I have, and I want to get a little more understanding of what I was watching. But some things that stood out to me, they brought in things from both the holiday special and the Ewok Adventures. And I think Bogey, was it you and I when we were podcasting one time where I commented that Teak character from the Ewok Adventures movie. So that was the creature that brought that shuttle to their ship to bring him to the planet. You know, that one that like jumped on to his shoulder.
They have to have the little creature that's cute.
And he paid paid him
And he-
like a couple Old Republic credits
Yep.
and like freaked out and ran away.
Yep.
That's
So
T. That's like a T or a
that's supposed to be the same species because they're really fast. They're really fast. And they kind of alluded to that when it was moving around. And then they had the same thing from the holiday special where it was like that little like dance thing. You know, in the original movies on the Millennium Falcon, they have like that game, that board game thing where it's like these creatures pop up. Yeah, where they like play chess. And then in this, we saw like it was kind of like a Broadway show or like a musical type thing where these creatures were like playing music and like doing a circus type thing.
Yeah, was it Neil's like siblings sitting around the like couch watching
Yep.
it?
That thing is on the holiday special. Like that's what they're watching, that type of thing in the holiday special. So I thought that was fascinating that they're bringing things that aren't technically canon from these things that, well, I guess the holiday special people wish didn't exist, and they're bringing it into the show. So I just thought that was pretty comical. But
I find it funny that, you know, even in the Star Wars universe, they have TV shows that placate the children, so they're leaving the fuck alone. That's their version of Blippi right there.
Right?
A pig or something.
That's Integrity.
Integrity.
That's funny. You were trying to look for stuff like that. Much. I don't know, Dustin. Did you because outside of the two?
I'm not good at catching Easter eggs.
Okay,
I mean, I caught Smee, which is an Easter egg that slaps you right in the fucking face.
You don't see it. I don't know. I think one of the podcasts we were talking about Andor. There were so many Easter eggs, especially when they're in that shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was catching this, and this, and this, and this. And much like, oh, you caught almost everything I caught too. So, but in these two episodes, the two things you saw, I didn't even notice that. I mean, I knew that the hologram reminded me of like when they were playing chess on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, well, that's kind of. I figured that's kind of just standard equipment in that time of era that you have these holograms that you can do stuff like that and have a show. Because you don't see like a flat screen TV in the Millennium Falcon or anything. Like it's all hologram is like their entertainment of watching something.
Yep.
But I didn't know that was the character that, transported them to the whatever the camp was for the pirate.
Teak creature.
The Teak.
That's not quite it. I don't think it's quite an Ewok, but it's like a similar species.
Okay.
But it definitely looked like Teak, just a lot like thinner. But yeah, if you haven't watched the holiday special or if you haven't watched the Ewok Adventures movies, go watch those and you'll totally understand what I'm referring to. Dustin, you've seen the holiday special, right? Unfortunately. Oh, you haven't seen it?
Can you even find it anymore? I thought George Lucas wanted it.
It's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
I might have to, but man, I don't.
It's so bad that it's good. Okay. I mean, if you want to see a grandpa Wookiee named Scratchy watch like virtual porn through like this head helmet, holiday specials got you.
I've been waiting all my life for that. So I actually have to get
Well,
off
I
the
mean, we
podcast right
started
now.
this episode talking about like porn or something. So like that, this is, full circle here. We're
Full
we're
circle.
getting to the full
See,
circle
even the
jerk here.
Star Wars characters love their porn.
Uh,
Oh, it's too great. No, you have to watch. I mean, if you
just
want
because
to,
of that, I want to watch it. Just
you're
to
gonna
laugh,
hate it. I'm
just to
gonna warn you. You're gonna
love
hate
hate
it.
it.
Maybe
You're gonna
maybe we can have a
Hate
Star
watch
Wars.
it.
Maybe we could do a watch episode for that. Like
Oh, we certainly can.
before Christmas, we could do like a live
Well,
watch video.
the unfortunate thing is Life Day is more of a Thanksgiving holiday, but Christmas is a second, we
It's
can make it
also
work for December.
oh well, you said it's a holiday special. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's holiday special. So
I
just go
always
to
thought it was
YouTube.
the Christmas special, but
They don't have Christmas in Star
Oh.
Wars. So they've got the holiday special, Life Day. And you get you get Carrie Fisher, you get Mark Hamill, you get all the original crew, Harrison Ford. And after airing it live on TV, George Lucas is like, nope, we gotta get rid of this shit because it's so bad. But the rumor is that Carrie Fisher like held on to her copy of it because they were told to like get rid of it. And Carrie Fisher, she's got that sense of humor. She's like, no, this is gold. I'm holding on to it. So rumor is that she held on to it. I'm not saying that that's what was leaked onto YouTube, but somehow, through the people that held on to it, it got leaked to YouTube. So we are able to enjoy it. I know the Ewok movies, they're on Disney Plus, so you can find those on Disney Plus and watch them. I don't think the same holds true for holiday special.
yeah, that's one of the stipulations when he sold. Don't you
So that's right.
ever put that shit
The
up
holiday
on
on.
Disney Plus.
But now it's like so bad it's good. I mean, I laugh when I watch that. Like Mark Hamill looks like some like Barbie doll Ken thing. He's so makeup up. It's like, is that even Mark Hamill? But it really is. It really is. And Carrie Fisher goes on to like this singing. So check it out. Give yourself a treat and check it out.
I thought we were all going to check it out together.
Yeah, I've already seen it, but we can all watch it together. That's for sure.
Yeah,
We could probably broadcast it live because it's on YouTube. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's going to be some kind of what do they call it when they copyright infringement?
infringement. Yeah.
I think we'd be fine and watch. I can't. If we did that, I can't wait till we get to the grandpa watching porn portion. I will fulfill every desire of yours. Have you seen a picture? I showed you a picture of Scratchy Bogey, but
I've
have you
seen
seen
Scratchy. It's
Okay.
terrifying. It is terrifying.
It haunted me in my dreams that night when you showed me.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Anything else we want to talk about this show? I know we really didn't do an episode breakdown because I mean, 2 episodes aired.
I hate episode breakdowns, by the way.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I love discussing it like we just did in freeform.
Yeah.
I mean, in this case, because there was 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. So,
well, and at the same time, it's easier to have this when it's a show that you're like enjoying. When it's something that you're not necessarily enjoying, it's good to have that breakdown because it gives it a little pattern and context and content to talk about. But yeah, when the show is, doing as well in our eyes as this is, then it's easier to talk about and you can really jump in at any place. So, but I mean, they're going to be short episodes again. I really wish Disney would work to if
Yes.
I have one gripe on it. I wish we would get more to that like 45 to 50-minute episodes. We wait so long for content and then we get, I mean, I think it was combined 72 minutes, but
yeah, the first episode was longer, right? Wasn't it like 45? But then the
Yep.
next one, I felt like, and I think we were texting each other, like, where are we at? Who's done yet? And I was like, well, I just finished. And then you're like, I got 11 minutes still left. And I was like, more like 5 because
Yeah.
the last 5 minutes
Same
was
thing
going to
with
be
the first
credits.
it's literally over 6 minutes of credits. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like I said 11 minutes and then I was done in like 4. I'm like, oh, well, I could have just said I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah. In full disclosure, actually, we drove 4 hours today, so I'm absolutely just gassed.
Yeah. And I am too. I drove all the way home from UP yesterday, and it's been, a busy day. I actually went into work, which I'm not used to. So, yeah, so we will wrap this up here pretty quickly, but just want to make sure if there's anything else that either one of you want to speak to about this episode. I mean, next
Just the
week.
one, just the
Oh,
the cliffhanger at the end. You guys are kind of skeptical. With Jude Law, is he a Jedi? Not a Jedi? A Sith? Or was that all fake? That the key, he got the key. To me, it was like
I
this whole
just
time
wonder,
he
is
could have.
like, why did he just do that earlier?
Yeah, that's what I was like. Now you can do it. Is it just because he didn't have access to a ship, and now
Probably.
he has kids that, oh, we have a ship, and he was like they're all talking like we got to find the droid and we got to get back to the ship, and now he's like, oh, you guys have a
well,
ship?
and you notice he didn't pop up until after they said SM-33.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why
So,
I'm wondering if he's the captain of the former captain of that ship.
oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, we lost Mudge again. Hit mute. Nope, you're still going.
Am I back?
You're back.
They're
I'm
back.
back. Yeah, he's definitely the captain of that ship.
Well, that
It,
makes him Captain Hook.
well, it makes me think. Remember Obi-Wan Kenobi show where there was that guy that was impersonating a Jedi and he'd have
Yeah,
like
yeah. Yep.
magnets and stuff like
That's
that.
I was thinking that, but
So I'm wondering again if it's smoke and mirrors type of a thing where once he heard his droid, then he was like, okay, I'm gonna this is where I'm gonna play my part and get my ship back. So yeah, I don't think he's really a Jedi. I won't go to the length of saying that he definitely doesn't have force capabilities. He might. I don't think he does, but he might. Um, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So
definitely gave me goosebumps though, and I was like, whoa, okay, did not see that coming. That in the trailer, and didn't give up at least the one or two times I saw it, didn't give up vibes that he was gonna be a Jedi or a force sensitive person, but.
I just don't think they would reveal it this soon if he actually was force sensitive. So that's the only reason why I don't think he is, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So before we sign off, I will ask one question to both of you. Where do you think this show is going? Like, obviously, it's about them trying to find their way home, but there's going to be, I mean, they're obviously tying some of the other content. They brought in the pirate from Mandalorian. Where's this show taking us? I'll start with you, Bogey.
I think it's gonna take us on an adventure. Jude Law, they'll of course break out, get back on the ship, and Jude Law will promise the kids, and maybe a false promise that he'll bring them home, and go on this like maybe he's got some errands he needs to run first, maybe, or if he's got I don't know if he's got other individuals that say a loved one or something, he's got to go find. Who knows what he's gonna decoy them or divert them to a different path where he's got priorities, and then they'll probably keep chiming about their planet. And he goes, that's a fairy tale. It doesn't exist. And they're like, well, and then he'll ask them, well, where is it? And they're like, well, we don't know. We're kids. Like we don't.
Yeah,
So, and then all of a sudden they'll probably try to find maybe help or anyone that might know where this planet is. And you know, I imagine they'll make just like in all these kids kind of stories, like Stand by Me and Goonies. Everyone in the end kind of makes it home. But they go on this adventure, so that's where I kind of see it. But they'll be doing some galaxy exploring to kind of find their way home. But I'm sure Jude Law, he looks like he's got a lot of maybe bad rap on him, especially if he maybe promised these pirates in the beginning of that first episode that they were going to pick up this last, or they were going to get rich, but there was just one like
one credit.
one credit in there, and then so they banished him. So maybe maybe he owes people, kind of like like the whole Han Solo bit where he always owed people.
Sure.
So maybe I feel like there will be an adventure with that. So that's my take on it. But
How about
you go
you?
ahead, Dustin.
How about you, Dustin?
I just want to point out, don't you feel bad for that one captain who's like, hey man, we got no money? And he's like, you're a liar. And they throw him out the airlock.
Yeah.
He was kind of telling the truth the entire time.
Yep.
So okay, dollars to donuts, they end up in a Jedi temple somehow, right? Because that got mentioned like a million times.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about that. I love Wim's obsession with Jedi temples because playing Knights of the Old Republic, that was one of my favorite things to do, is going to like temples and Sith tombs, right? And fuck around in those. So Really excited for that. I think they'll end up in the Jedi Temple. I think it's just, I don't think it's going to be any more than what it is. And I love that right now. As much as I want like expansion of the lore and new cool things to talk about, sometimes you just need some good old fashioned, like something that's just easy to watch, not hard. What do they call it? Just something that's easy to digest.
Yeah.
Comfort food, I think. Which
like
is,
a mindless show that you can just
I don't say
watch
it's
and enjoy.
mindless, right? I don't say it's mindless, right? Because there's going to be some mysteries to think about and to solve. Of course, again, at Atten is kind of the number one mystery to kind of think about, and then what Jude Law, like what is Jude Law's character? So those kind of two things are playing a pretty big mystery role right now, and they'll probably find more. I just love that. Hey, we know the show's not going to probably give us in this lore explanations and new things that they're really bringing to the table. Maybe some bits and pieces of things. Normally, I don't like that, but for this show, because we know what it is and we knew what it was going in, I love that the show's pretty simple, and it's going to be, like we've talked about, similar to other movies like Stand By Me, like Goonies, where hey, they're just going to go on an adventure and we're along for the ride.
And what's good about comparing it to those movies, which is definitely holding true with this, especially how the show started, even though it's a kid show or younger audience, there's still dark elements and sophistication to it. So it's something for kids to enjoy and also something for adults to enjoy. And I think the main emphasis of this show is going to be adventure. I think that's clear. It's, we're going to go for a ride. They're going to pull in certain elements of Star Wars that we know, but the focus isn't that. The focus is the ride that we're about to go on. But I do think in that ride, we're going to discover what the heck is going on behind this at Atten Planet. Obviously, there's some secrecy there. We're going to find that out. I agree with what Dustin said. Somewhere we're going to end up at a Jedi temple because they're forcing the Jedi concept of it, and they're doing that intentional to all of a sudden go away from it, but then at the end kind of bring it in like, okay, we actually were going in that direction. And because this kind of falls in the timeline of like the Mandalorian and all the content we're getting, my guess is that it's going to link to either like Ahsoka or Ezra or Luke Skywalker, one of those. Nothing major. It's just going to be kind of a simple little tie-in that we'll get like at the end. But yeah, I can't wait for the ride. I mean, what is it? 10 episodes, 8 episodes, one or the other. Just wish they were long. And so far I'm hoping more than one season.
Yeah. Just hey, finally we get some good stuff to talk about, because in the past it's been, Andor's huge success. Obviously,
Acolytes was a disaster.
Yes, it was.
Season 3 of Mandalorian was a disaster. So
this is something we're gonna talk about next episode. Like, what is can this springboard the Star Wars universe forward in a positive direction? If they can see that, hey guys, we are honest about what we're doing here with our audience and our fans, put out a good show, doesn't have to be perfect, and people will love it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's a great teaser for next. I'm going to have to digest that a little bit. Because right now I'll answer.
You wouldn't think ever like, hey,
yes and no.
Skeleton Crew the thing that saved Star Wars on Disney? I'm not saying it has or that it will. I'm thinking that, again, I just want to be very clear about this, and I feel like the marketing had done a good job of saying, hey, here's what this show is going to be, right? And then we all went into it thinking, hey, this is what the show is going to be. And then when the show was that, we're like, hell yes, give me more of that.
Yeah, I can't agree more on that. And none of like the writers or producers saying anything about what it is supposed to be before it definitely helps as well. Like let the audience determine that on their own. Like give us the trailers, set that expectations. Don't say anything about it. Just let the consumers consume the product and then bring their opinions like what we're doing here. So yeah. So remind us, Dustin, to talk about that next week after we watch episode 3.
Just taking some notes. Okay, yeah, here we go. It's in the
Which I think all the other episodes will be released on Tuesdays. So this definitely threw me in a loop because I didn't have electricity or I was out of any kind of civilization or society and didn't get this update until I got home. I was like, oh, it's actually airing on Monday. Okay, well, we're going to have to change some things up. So thank you, both of you, for being flexible to be able to jump on today and watch it late. And I mean, it's past midnight now. So we're going to be wrapping this up. And if we want, we'll kind of tap into episode 1 and 2 next week, but primarily focus on the third episode that we'll get on Tuesday. Looking forward to it. So I will just, well, maybe okay, there we go. I will speak to our social media handles really quick so you can find us. Preach. You can find us on Twitter at DetBlock AA23pod, on Instagram at Detention_AA_23, our Facebook group and YouTube channel, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. And you can find us on TikTok at DetBlock AA23. Yeah, I will get these things out on our social media handles or on X. Is that what you're saying, Dustin, that I should get this on X really quick?
Well, not just the show. I think X, it's better for short clips, but maybe that's a question you ask on X. Like, hey, how does the Skeleton Crew affect like future Disney projects?
Fantastic idea. And then maybe we'll bring in some of those responses to next week's episode. So, yeah, greatly looking forward to next week. Hit that subscribe button, bring us your follows, likes, downloads, ratings, reviews, all of it. The same spiel I gave at the beginning. So help us out. We appreciate it. With that, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Any final things? Here we're in December. Get ready for Christmas holiday. Watch that holiday special.
With my little tease and trolling you guys, I thought Dustin was gonna throw me back in the brig.
Hey, get the fuck back in.
He texted me. He's like, "Is he serious?" I wasn't sure either. Because I remember from the trailers, you're like, I don't know about this show, so I didn't know if you were serious or not. Even if you were, that's totally fine. That's why we come here. We like all opposing opinions. We can talk through it.
So, I actually was kind of hoping you wouldn't like it because then there would be some conflict,
some discourse back and forth.
Yes,
but so far the show is just good enough that we all like it. So
I just start talking, getting negative, and Dustin's like telling Mudge, hit the mute button, mute him.
Wrong.
Wrong.
All right. Well, with that, I will end this for the evening. So again, looking forward to next week talking more Skeleton Crew. And with that, as always, may the force be with you.
And also with Scratchy and his porn addiction.
We need to figure this porn addiction out because
I think he's got it figured out.
He's got that shit grin on his face. He's really enjoying it. So please do me a favor and watch it. Or like you said, maybe we'll make a special episode. All right.
Should do that.
I'm game. I'm ready for it. So
it's only like 45 minutes?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's easy. We can watch it and pod at the same time.
Easy peasy. Bring your popcorn. 8.5 popcorns out of 10.
8.5 popcorns. 8.5 buckets of popcorn. Let's go.
There you go. All right. We'll catch you later. I pressed it, but it's not going.